Welcome to Brave Enough for Love, the podcast for anyone who knows happily ever after doesn't always happen on the first try. Meet your hosts, Chris and Cabrina, two people who've been married, divorced, figured some things out the hard way, and still decided love was worth another shot. They found it with each other. And now they're talking about everything that comes with round two, navigating careers, dealing with exes, kids and blended families, big adventures, sex, and everything in between. The messy parts, the beautiful parts, and the hilarious no one warned us about this parts. If you're into honest conversations, real laughs, and the reminder that starting over can actually be better than starting from scratch, you're in the right place. This is Brave Enough for Love.
Episode. Technical difficulties. 2 glasses of wine.
Not enough.
Today's episode is brought to you by Riesling. German Riesling wine.
Not enough. Welcome to Brave Enough for Love. Today we're talking about what it's like to get back into the mix of dating and start to see some things start to happen, and then get into how we finally met.
The origin story.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good one. Stay tuned. It's coming. So I forced myself to get back out there and meet people. My divorce felt sudden, but in retrospect it was not. But at the time it felt sudden and it hit hard. And the alternative was like sit at home and be a waste and drink by myself and
be sad
and play video games or try.
How many video games do you actually even play? I've never seen you play a video game in the almost year and a half we've been together.
I'm not bored with you, Cabrina. Video games are great for boredom. I play like shooty games, like Call of Duty and stuff like that, and I'm pretty good at them. But no, I don't have an hour to do that with you.
I mean, when you don't have time to shoot, you don't have somebody to shoot other things with, you might as well.
You keep me very engaged for 22 out of 24 hours a day. So
you only sleeping for 2 of them?
Even asleep, I'm engaged. No, the 2 are commuting to work and back. So I kind of forced myself to get out there, and I had some single friends that I work with, and
they forced you to take a picture.
They did force me to take pictures at times, yes. So I went out. And I put on my brave face and had probably 1 too many drinks for liquid courage and talked to people. And I met a couple of people and went out on a few dates. But none were what I was looking for. It's kind of interesting because, we live in, do we say where we live?
Yeah.
Sweet. We live in Nashville. It's a young audience. Mm-hmm. I'm in my mid-40s. I have 3 almost teenagers and 2 almost teenagers and a teenager. So, the crowd was younger for sure, or way older. Yep. Right. So I was trying. I just wanted to go out and relearn. I didn't care about hooking up. I didn't care about where I was going to go. I was literally trying to train myself to go out and talk to people again.
Which, I mean, you don't give yourself enough credit. Like, he says these things, but he's very much like a talkative person and runs teams and trains people all over the world and all kinds of shit like that. So it's not like he doesn't have talking skills.
Sure.
But I think that there, like when you say that, there's a lot of people in the space that don't know how to talk to people.
Yep.
Or were married for 10, 20 years and are like, well, what the fuck do I do now? And so when you're in that situation, like you didn't have I'm afraid to talk to humans in general. It was like I'm afraid to talk to people for the purpose of dating.
Absolutely. Yeah, out of practice.
Mm-hmm.
25 years with one person's a long time to try to figure out how to get your game back up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I do. I can talk to anybody. And I'm mad charming
So charming. So charming.
But it was really hard and really nerve-wracking. And what I found was a lot of 20-somethings, a lot of 30-somethings and even early 40-somethings who had never been married.
Crazy, right?
And one of my green flags, my checklist from the beginning was has to have a kid or kids. Because I have kids and I'm a doting dad. I mean, I love my daughters. They are my, they're my world. And I couldn't be with somebody who didn't understand that. Right? Like that's a compromise you don't make.
Which was so interesting because on my list, this was the one thing that I was willing to be like, I'm okay with having somebody who's never had kids. And mine was more of a logistical thing because I was looking at my van and going, I can fit one more child's ass in this car. So they can have one or no children.
But you didn't think about meeting a guy who also had a van.
No, I didn't.
We were like two minivans racing down the same road. No, but could you imagine being in a serious relationship with somebody that didn't understand the demand that kids have?
I guess for me, it was one of those when I first started dating, I was like, well, my ex hadn't been a part of the situation really at all anyways. And so why would it matter if a man had kids or not?
Well, were you looking to just date or were you looking for a serious relationship?
At first, I was looking to just kind of see if I even had the game to date.
Cabrina also speaks around the world and schmoozes with clients and can talk to anybody, anywhere.
And has been accused of being able to talk to a door.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
She makes friends in every coffee shop we've ever gone into. So she's also underplaying how incredibly social she is.
Well, but this is why I bring this up is because this idea that you get into this space and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to go and talk to people. But then you're like, and they might see me naked. So it changes the whole dynamic of like, that whole get on stage and pretend like you're naked.
Yeah.
And that makes all the nerves, or pretend like everybody in the audience is naked. It's like completely flipped on its head when you're trying to date.
Right. You get all the intensity and all the scrutiny.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and then anytime that somebody doesn't give you attention, it goes the opposite way. Like if you get too much attention, you're like, oh my God, there's too many people paying attention to me. But then when you get into a situation where nobody's paying attention to you, like I went to multiple dating events where nobody gave me the time of day because I wasn't, like most of the other girls. I wasn't in stilettos. I don't have a perfect body. I've made humans.
That's you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. But I wasn't the stereotypical Nashville go out and party on Broadway bachelorette looking girl. I don't own the tight skirts and shit like that. And so I would go to these and I'd watch these people. Like I remember being at one event. It was the last really big mixer that I went to. And I got there and one of the girls and one of the guys was sitting in the corner making out. And you knew that they were probably going to sleep together and like never see each other again kind of thing. And I'm sitting here like having this moment where I'm talking to this other woman about the stuff that she does in corporate and oh my God, it'd be so great to train at your business. And she's like, this would be great. And I'm using it as a networking event at this point because I'm like, might as well get something.
You're such a gunslinger. You bring business to a speed dating event.
Well, this is how I got. This is the same event that I got in trouble with. Where I was talking to a group of guys and they were all super nerdy tech, which I speak that language so well because I speak at tech events. And so I was like, oh my God, these are people that I like feel comfortable around because when I'm at those kinds of events, they're usually like, oh my God, a pretty girl at this event because there's just not very many people. It's the one event I can go to the bathroom and not have to stand in line for. So they're my favorite. And I'm having this conversation, and this guy's like, yeah, I just lost my job and I started consulting, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, yeah, he started talking about some specific things. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'd be happy to show you how to set up an email list and like all this nerdy shit that I've done. And he's like, oh, yeah, okay, well, we can meet on this day. And I'm like, great, we can meet at this coffee shop at this time. And I'm like, this is a business transaction. We're at a dating event, but in my brain, it was a business transaction. So I get to this meeting and I'm there early because I'm like, if I'm going to go work at a coffee shop, I'm going to go work at a coffee shop because if I have to pay for a coffee to pay for the internet and all the things, and it's one of those places where they have a couple of the foods that I like. So I was like, I'm going to go sit, I'm going to eat, I'm going to, be by myself for a little bit, acclimate. This guy shows up, he's late. And then it's one of those things of like, I buy his coffee because I suggested that we should meet over this email thing that we were talking about. And we start to chit chat a little bit and, like, how's the weather, those kinds of conversation starters. And I'm like, okay, well, let me go ahead and show you what I was talking about. And I pull up my system, I've got my computer out, and he comes over to the other side of the table and he starts to like keep scooching closer. And I'm like, I feel very uncomfortable. This is an HR violation.
I'm not sure if you read the manual, but if it starts at a dating event, it's definitely a date.
No, it was not a date.
Yeah.
And so he like starts to put his arm around me and I was like, excuse me, I think that we are in a very different mindset about what this is. Our conversation was about this specific software, not about you getting close enough to touch me.
You're just a software tease. That's what it is. You picked him up with a software line and then you took him out to coffee and...
I paid for the coffee! I paid for the coffee specifically so that it wouldn't come off as a date.
I understand. Well, there's a lot of men out there who are more than happy to just take money from you for a date.
Cough, cough, X.
Yeah. I felt like I had sort of achieved my goal. I went on some time left dinners,
I do
time
like
left, right?
time left.
I do too. It was cool.
They've
I
started
met
to
really
make it
cool
more
people.
about friends, which I'm
I
really
know.
excited
We should go do
for.
it.
Yeah.
I went on some time left dinners. I never did the speed dating things. It freaked me out.
I love speed dating.
And then the rest was bar, and really all it was rip off the Band-Aid. It was, I would literally sit there and go, you have to go talk to those women.
All these other people are here being uncomfortable, so just go be uncomfortable at the same time.
Totally. Well, you know me. Like, once I start talking, I could literally put somebody...
Have you heard about string theory?
Yeah, right. I mean, I literally, at work today, had two of my coworkers staring at me going, we'll never get that 10 minutes back, because I was talking about string theory and advanced particle physics and nerdy shit that I think is cool. Kabrina thinks cool. And now that we're together, we both think it's cool. So I think other people are going to think it's cool. And they do not. They look at me like I am speaking in Latin.
Well, and this is a really interesting thing that segues in. I remember I was so frustrated after one of these events. And I think it was after this last one that I just told the story about. And I called, well, probably this person called me, our mutual friend. And I was like, I'm so fucking frustrated because I just want somebody I can have a conversation with that I'd actually be interested getting in bed with and that likes me for who I am, because I'm sick of having to try and pretend that I'm something else in order for somebody to like me. Because being a single mom of 5, I was like, I already had a lot of insecurities about, okay, I'm not at the weight that I want to be at. I'm not, in my 20s anymore. So who's going to want me? And I was in the midst of struggling through my own identity crisis and wanting this thing that I wanted companionship. I wanted to be with somebody who was going to be like, oh my God, you're so cool. And I struggled in business being like, people think I'm really cool here. And like, they want my opinion and they want to know me and they want to, pick my brain. And then going into the dating world and feeling like such an infant in all of it. And I'm going to these events. And I was at a speed dating event, which I actually really liked because it became a game of basically psychology study.
Speed dating events don't work if they are your subjects for the night.
Well, it's like I wasn't getting anybody's numbers anyway, so I was like, if my therapist is going to make me do X amount of these before I can bitch about the fact that I'm mad that I'm lonely and that I'm alone, then at least I'm going to have fun doing it. Because I was like, it has to be a game or I'm not going to go. And so one day I was talking to all these different guys. And so you get to, as a girl, you get to go to all the different guys and you meet each one of them and you're the one who's moving. And so I meet these two and I was like, oh, Rob, Richard and you are really compatible with like what you guys do for work. And I'm like, oh yeah, you guys should meet. And I watched them from the back of the coffee shop walk out together. And I was like, fuck, I'm doing this wrong.
And they've been dating ever since, apparently.
And that's so funny.
It kills me when I hear you say those things about like insecurities not getting. I would have walked into that room and found you. But that's what compatibility is. That's the difference, right? Like the things that make you not look like the other, not wear stilettos and black and browns, and to me are the most beautiful, sexiest, unique, incredible things about you.
Well, and it was crazy because you had a very different experience dating than I did. Like, you were getting people's numbers, and you still, even after we started dating, had people hitting on you, and I'm sure you still do. And
Is it because I'm a silver fox dilf?
yes, yes, but you're my Jill.
I am your dilf. You're my milf.
And here's the thing is, like, there was not one person gave me their number in the time frame.
The universe was saving you for me. I needed
It
you.
must have been because I remember I went
Because you're so hot.
I went to Pilates one day and I was talking to one of the ladies and I was just like, when somebody asks you how you are and you're not good and that's the one question that's going to break you, you're like, don't ask me how I am because if you do, I'm on my period. Don't ask me how I am because I'm going to burst into tears. And she asked me how I was and I burst into tears. And I was like, fuck, we have to try and get all this stuff back. But I was already in it and I was like, I'm so sad and things that are going on. And, I've gone to all these events and it's just like, I feel completely inadequate as a human because nobody wants me. Like, I'm used up and I like accidentally ended up in a situation that I felt like I was the victim in. And then I got out of it and was like so proud of myself for being like, I got out of an abusive relationship to go into the world of dating and feel like I was getting abused by people who didn't even know me. But it was like not intentional. It was just kind of the way of it.
You just didn't find the right person.
No.
I knew an hour into our first conversation that you were amazing. I knew by our second conversation that I was falling in love with you. I knew 5 minutes into our first meeting, we're getting to it, that I wanted to date you, that I was enamored with you.
Mm-hmm.
I was, everybody else melted away. Everything else melted away. And it has now for what, a year and some
Almost
months?
a half. We're getting
I tell
close.
Karina this all the time, and it's not placative. It's not me being cutesy romantic, though I am sometimes. But like, I have my brain doesn't recognize other women anymore. Like, you're it. You're everything. And it's a beautiful feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what? You were just hanging out with all the dumb guys, all the ones that
that
were a
really
mess.
must have been what it was because it's like, I think that the journey that took me to being comfortable enough to even get out there and date was like this really weird being in a marriage, being in a situationship, being single after being really sad about the situationship not working out, put me in this really weird space of, okay, well, what do you do now? And I think that a lot of people end up there because people pair off unintentionally, which I think is, and I think that at some point we should probably have a deeper conversation as people ask questions about situationships because of the fact that it's such a epidemic within the dating field. And I think a lot of people are like me and they fall into it by accident, not thinking that that's going to be how things work. And so I was used to being in college and meeting somebody. Like, that was how people paired off. And so when I wasn't in that situation where friends were just there, like we talked about in our last episode, you have to kind of figure out, like, oh, what is this thing? And I think that that's really, it's causation versus what is the, like, yeah. And I think that's what's happening in dating right now is that most people, when they're doing this the second time around, they're going, oh my God, this is so much harder. Oh my God, people are so different than they were.
They are.
I don't know that they are, though. I don't think that they're much different. They're just older.
Yeah.
And more experienced, for good and for bad.
Mhm.
And
More jaded.
well, that, but it's also like they're not right in your circles anymore.
Mm.
Like, even when I moved to Tennessee and was driving around on a Sunday, like I was just asked today how I found the specific church that I'm going to. And it was literally because I was driving around one Sunday doing grocery runs when I didn't have my kids and was like, where the fuck is everybody? And then I was like, fuck, everybody's at church because it's the Bible Belt. And then I'm having this conversation audibly in my car by myself. And it's not lost on me that I was sitting here swearing the whole entire time. And I was like, well, I guess I'm going to have to go find a fucking church. I'm going to make friends. And that's why I went and found a church, was not because I was like so excited to go to church, because I was married to a pastor, which we'll get into another episode. But I didn't want anything to do with that. But that was, to me, a really easy way to go meet people. And even being at this church for 2.5 years, something like that, I still don't have like anybody that I'd be like, oh my God, I need to go call Susan because she's my best buddy. I know of people, but at this age, we were talking about this earlier today, people don't stick around as friends because they get lost in their own thing. They get married, they have kids, they get busy, they have their careers. And then all of a sudden you have to go, oh, I have to make time for this.
Mm-hmm.
And as somebody who has always very much valued friendships, I had a really hard time with the fact that most people just kind of throw friendships away.
Yeah.
I was 22 when I got married. And I tried to stay friends with all of my friends because I was still in college. I was still seeing them all the time. But for them, I was in a different part of life. So they automatically separated from me. So it didn't matter how much I chased. And then they were all between 7 and 10 years behind me.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't get married as soon as I did, or if they did, they didn't have kids as soon as I did. So there was this gap of people couldn't be my friend because of me. They were my friend because of a situational thing. And I think that's the difference in dating now, is that most people we were friends with in school and in college and in work environments when we were young were friends with us because they were situationally friends.
Yeah, it was proximity.
Yeah, it's like, think about the people that you grew up next to.
Yeah, the kid down the street.
Yeah, you're not friends with them anymore.
Right.
You might still be connected
Well,
with them on
maybe I am.
Facebook. But he doesn't count.
Okay, fair enough.
But
It is. And the problem with that is that, especially now in the world where people are very self-focused,
yeah,
like criminally self-focused, and we're both pretty profound givers of time. A friendship requires a two-way street. It requires give and take. It requires, give and take is a terrible word. It requires I offer to you and you offer to me.
mm-hmm.
We're there for each other. We're a stronger community because we're here together.
Mm-hmm.
And most friendships are one way.
Mm-hmm. Most marriages and most relationships are one way.
Yeah.
And I think we learned that the hard way through marriages that were that way.
Mm-hmm.
But we also both met those people in a situational space where people were friends because that was what you did.
Yeah.
And so
and we both got married because that was what you did.
Exactly.
You look at the watch and you go, oh, it's been a few years. I better do something now, right?
Well, and see, I never wanted kids, so there was never like this, oh my God, I need to hurry up and get married because there's this biological clock. For me, it was very much, I wanted to be cared for. I wanted to have companionship, not because I didn't want to go out and work or do the things. I had lots of dreams of being CEO and all of this stuff, but it was that I wanted to have a buddy that I felt like I had never had.
Yeah.
And to me, that was what marriage was like this, I get to have this best friend and I get to then be married to this best friend and have all the things that we now have, but I thought I was getting that the first time around. Little did I realize that there was a lot of how people function and how people talk about things and all these things that I didn't quite understand. Like, I knew that I wanted to have deep conversations with people. And I knew that I needed somebody who was going to be funny and laugh at my jokes that are nerdy and punny.
So good, though.
So funny. But people can play that game for a long time. And we have a very different background of how we ended up being with our person, or our practice person. They have to be the practice.
I love that.
Because then what was the point if they weren't practice?
I think of it more like the lifeguard that puts the red flags on the beach. Just teach y'all the red flags. Stay out of the water, deadly riptide.
It's so funny you say that, and I'll have to find this picture for you. But when I was in my situationship, there was a moment that we had walked down to the beach, and there was literally lines of red flags down the beach.
And you missed that sign, didn't you? Yeah.
Well, and I went and took a picture with one of the damn red flags. I was like, this is going to be a great content.
And then you walked away and you took a picture with the other red flag.
Yep. Yep, I did.
It's so funny how your perspective changes. I mean, like, let's be honest. Nobody should be getting married in their early 20s.
God, no, you should not.
I thought I knew everything. I didn't know anything.
I knew I didn't know anything, but I also was like desperate.
Yeah.
But now that I know all the things that I do for the work that I do, nobody should be getting married until both people are 25.
Minimum.
Even though women's brains develop faster and they're fully developed by 21, it's hard to marry before that. And I wish that I would have waited a couple extra years.
Yeah.
Or that I would have lived with my practice marriage person.
Totally.
Because if I would have, I would never have let it go as far as it did. Because I would have been like, this is fucking shit. Peace.
I've always told Karina, I have rules. You have to live together. You have to have the stomach flu together.
Mm-hmm.
There was one other one. Like, you have to go through these things, these really hard, brutal, embarrassing, horrible things.
Because we've done all of them.
Because that's when you realize what people are made out of.
Yeah.
Right? That's what that's when you realize when a relationship is truly blind two-way.
Mm-hmm.
Without any expectations, without reciprocations, without any of those things. And that's when you find your person, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you go through the hard stuff.
Well, and it's that whole, when you squeeze an orange, what's supposed to come out? And I think a lot of people dress up as whatever it is that you're trying to squeeze at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And we're so interested in the inside that we are assuming is there versus the inside that's actually there. And then when push comes to shove, we're like, oh, that wasn't what I expected. And especially as givers, there's a book by Adam Grant. It's called Givers and Takers. And it's the whole entire idea of like, there's two different kinds of people in this world. There's people that give and give of themselves and end up being doormats. And you know that there's some people sitting here listening to this going, yeah, that's me. I did that my whole entire relationship. I did the same thing. I was like, well, fuck, I just gave up my whole entire life and all of my 20s are gone. And then there's takers. They're the people that take until you're gone, and then they go,
Yeah.
good to see ya.
Limitless
that was
appetite
fun.
for human
And then they
emotion.
go find the next person to go be a leech on.
Yep.
And they're never happy people, but they do definitely get their needs met above and beyond what they would if they went and did it themselves.
Because there's a specialty, especially among the narcissist crowd, and I think everybody has a little bit of narcissism in it. Just can you control it or not? But that people know how much to pebble, how much to give in order to get the reciprocation, but never an ounce more. Right? It's I'll take all of your emotional availability. I'll give just enough to get all of your energy back. We'll get deep into those things.
Well, and it's when you think about all these different things and all the things that we know about relationships and psychology, and we don't teach anybody that. We go,
Nope.
Cool, you're hormonal, you're young, go make the mistakes, you'll be fine. And then they can't figure out why the divorce rate is over 50%. And we're sitting here going, well, because people aren't learning these things early enough. They're not having these conversations. There's parents who don't know. And you came from a generation. I mean, were your parents considered boomers?
Yeah.
Okay, so my parents were boomers too.
Mine were like earlier boomers.
Yeah, so you
same sort of generation.
Yeah, so the same generation, but they were the kinds of people that your older boomer parents were like, you get married, you stay married, it doesn't matter. You'd like die together. At your own detriment, if so. My boomer parents were on the younger side, but still like, stay together, until my parents got divorced when I was already grown and out of the house. I was like,
at least wait for the kids, right?
I was like 29 or 30.
Yeah.
When they called me and told me that they were getting divorced because they had to pass a life insurance policy over to me. Now, mind you, my parents disowned me when I was 18, so we didn't really have a whole lot of contact. So how that all transpired is a mystery to us all. But it's one of those things of people tried a little harder to keep things going.
There was a lot more social stigma.
Yes.
That kept you there. There were a lot of people in horribly sad or abusive or neglectful marriages that lived their lives in those because they were afraid to be shunned by family and friends. Well, now everybody's divorced.
If you think about it, women weren't able to own their own property or have their own accounts or any of that stuff until fairly recently.
Yeah, late 60s, early 70s.
It was like, I think it was the late 50s. And so when you think about that, those people are all still alive. This is not like we've come this far. So we're still learning. We're in this weird learning process of, marriages last for a good chunk of time.
Yeah.
And so we're just
Many do.
Yes, and we're just in the beginning stages of trying to decipher what all of this means. And I think that if we had more education on the front end of, let's talk about the mental things that you're going through. Let's talk about these issues that you've grown up with and the traumas and things like that. In things like premarital counseling, we'd see a lot less divorces later on because people would figure these things out earlier versus going, oh my God, I love you so much. Let's make love. Let's make babies. And then you're in a couple of years and you're like, well, fuck, I don't even like this person.
This person's an asshole. Why didn't I? But you know what? Here's another problem. It's real easy to get married. Please send us comments if you agree. It's really, really painful to get divorced. It costs a damn fortune.
Well, and the crazy thing, I thought this when I went through my divorce. I'm sitting here and they're like, you have to fill out this paper and this paper and this paper and this paper. And they're listing all these things off for me. And I was like, why the fuck did you let me get married with one piece of paper and a signature?
Right.
And now I have to fill out all this paperwork to get divorced. Do that side on the front end so that I'm I have more time to logically think about this versus getting into it and going, this is going to be great. Look, a little signature. Oh,
You have to have a
change the
waiting
name.
period to get divorced, but you can get married in Vegas tomorrow. You know, it's like
Crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts.
I mean, I think that there should definitely be a 90-day, like, try it,
Like-
try
like-
it after you
like
buy it.
buying
and then
a handgun, you
send
go
it
in, you fill out the
back.
paperwork, you have to wait a week.
No, but think about it. Like, okay, think about those things that are like 30-day money back guarantee.
Oh yeah,
Marriages should fucking be
they
like that.
totally should.
Because think about what happens.
Like you could have an instant annulment. You just
Oh my
like
God.
you get a button, and if you push it, it just goes away.
Yes,
That'd be
yes.
amazing.
Okay, because think about it. Think about it like this. Especially the way that I grew up. I grew up, you don't have sex before you're married. You don't live with the person. You don't do X, Y, and Z because if you do, God will smite you.
I disagree with all those concepts.
I do now too.
Okay, great.
The problem is that when you grow up in an environment like that, then you have to sit here and ask yourself,
Yeah.
if I would have had a 30-day clause, I would have pushed that button 2 weeks in.
That honeymoon night wasn't so great, huh?
No, no. I mean, I remember so vividly, and I know we weren't going to get into this, but I'm going to tell this story anyways.
Okay. We still haven't gotten to the origin story yet.
We're going to get there.
I have to say my triumphant end of dating before I met you.
Okay, I'm excited to hear this.
Okay, tell me the story.
I remember so vividly walking into the grocery store, and in Colorado, Kroger is called King Soopers, which I think is the cutest thing ever.
It is cuter than Kroger.
It is way cuter.
Kroger sounds like a bacterial infection. Got the Kroger today. Not feeling well.
But we walked into Kroger, and, I'm like, this is one of our first shopping trips as a married couple. Look at us. We're broke as a joke because I'm still in school working full time. He's at a job that's like mediocre at best in ministry. And we're walking down the chip aisle, and I was like, you know what? I'm budgeting stuff because I've been really good at that my whole entire life. And I was like, okay, well, we're going to get the off brand of tortilla chips. Mind you, this man said that if we were ever so broke that we couldn't afford food, that as long as I got him tortilla chips and salsa, he'd be fine because he basically used the chip to get the salsa to his mouth versus eating the chips. So I was like, it'll be fine. We'll just get the off-brand of chips. It's all the same thing. Most of them are made at the same factory of the same shit. And I watched this grown-ass adult who was in his mid-20s take this bag of chips, rip it out of my hand, and yell at me in the middle of the chip section that we could not get the off-brand of chips that was $3 cheaper than the on-brand that he liked.
Annulment button.
I stood there, and I so vividly can see myself standing there in this aisle, dumbfounded. And I sat there and I was like, what the fuck have I done? And I remember laying in bed that night going, what have I done? Can I fix this? What do I do? And because I didn't have parents around, I didn't have a trusted person to call, I stayed. Because I was like, maybe this is just the beginning of it, and maybe he had a bad day, and then you start to rationalize these things away when I should have left then. And I remember thinking about that during the divorce and going, if only I had done this then. Because one of the things that we'll get into later that everybody always told me during the divorce was, well, at least you have your kids.
No.
Oh, isn't it so great that at least you have your kids? And I'm like, that's the shittiest thing you could say to somebody who's in the middle of literally their life falling apart.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to just cobble whatever bits and pieces of the life that you thought you were going to have with this person together. And people are going, well, at least you have your kids that are going to make it really hard for you to date and really impossible for you to do anything else.
So freaking expensive. Don't forget about how expensive kids are and all the transportation needs. And yeah, thank God.
Well, and it's not like I would ever say that I don't love my children, but I don't think that that's the thing that you say to
Not at that moment.
people. It's kind of like, oh my God, they died. They're in such a better
Yeah.
place now.
Oh,
Oh, so good.
when my parents passed away from two of the most difficult, painful, drag out ways to die. They loved each other. They were married for 47 years. They were an amazing couple. They passed away 30 days apart, and everybody came out and said, "Oh, it's so sweet. They couldn't be away from each other. They had to go to heaven together." And I was like, "You haven't been here the last 5 months. That was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. There's nothing like." Stop saying the wrong thing at the wrong time, right?
If you don't know what to say, just shut your fucking mouth.
Just say I love you and give them a hug and move on. Yeah.
Bring them dinner, give them a gift card somewhere, and shut your fucking mouth.
Amen.
If you're just getting divorced and your people are being assholes,
Tell them to shut the fuck up.
send them this part of it. Shut the fuck up. Send me a gift card. Leave me the fuck alone.
Yeah, that's right.
And then call me in 2 weeks and make sure that I'm, okay.
Drop off mediocre Chinese food and a bottle of wine.
Seriously,
Yep.
the best thing that my neighbor did is she knew that we were going through the divorce, and she just dropped off a bottle of wine and then texted me once she was back at her house, so I couldn't even open the door and say hi to her.
Yep.
And I was like, this is how you
That's
do it.
exactly right. What a good human being.
Bring me alcohol and go the fuck away. Because at that moment in time, there is nothing in the world that anybody can say. Because I could sit here and be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And I started to have people go, I'm sorry, congratulations. And they'd do this weird thing with their face.
Is it good?
It's like, are we throwing a party or are we sad? And I think that there's a cognitive dissonance because there's both. And I went through a lot of therapy through the whole entire process from the minute that he asked for the separation to the actual divorce of going, I'm glad that this is happening because I can see why it needed to happen. And I'm grieving this life that I thought that I was going to have. I was supposed to have this person who loved me and all these things. And, we'll go deeper into all this, but it goes back into when you're dating, this becomes this thing that hangs over you of all of these stories and all of this background noise that's happening as you're going on those first dates and you're trying to figure out who you are, and you're basically going through this teenager stage again. I was like, oh my God, I feel like I'm 17 all over again. And in good and in bad ways of yay, I get to go be free and do this thing. And then you come home and you're like, oh my God, I hate myself and I'm so bad and there's nothing good about me. And you go on this teeter-totter of basically going through all of those same teenager emotions all over again.
First of all, brilliant segue back into dating. In case you haven't noticed, Sabrina and I are poster children for the ADHD power movement. You're going to find that we go in a lot of different paths and things, and how well we do it together, that's what we talk like normally. So this is us, real, non-scripted. I didn't really want to be in a relationship yet. So I really was not trying to get into a long-term relationship at all. I wasn't. I more got out there and did the time left stuff and went out and talked to people because I was trying to prove that I wasn't broken. Because my initial response after 25 years, 20 married, was I'm used up. I'm done. And then, I had that internal dialogue where I'm like, but I'm still pretty cool and I can talk to people and people like me. I'm going to go out and prove that I'm not worthless. So it was more a point. I was not trying to get into a relationship. I wasn't even trying to have fun. I wasn't trying to have sex. I wasn't trying to hook up. I did hook up a little bit, but I just wanted to prove that I could talk to people. I could go out and make friends. I could go out and operate in a bar. in my 40s, right? Where a lot of people are like, and we live in Nashville, everybody's like 6'5". I'm 5'9" on the best day of my life.
They are so fucking tall, here.
It's crazy. The water's all messed up.
Oh my God. I love Mother's Ruin for the fact that
they're all 6.5 feet tall.
So
it's nuts.
the first dating event that I ever went to, the girls were like, oh my God, we're going over to Mother's Ruin after this. All the guys there are at least 6 foot tall.
Yep.
And I was like, there's no possible way. Because statistically, there's just not that many 6 foot plus humans in the world.
Yeah. I feel like a toddler in that bar.
I go there and I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ. Where did all you people come from?
6'5", finance, blue eyes, trust fund.
None of those people.
None of those. No, 6'5", broke, want to be a country singer, drunk.
Very drunk.
So I actually did well because I think I'm a lot more social and I'm a fairly self-assured person. Like I don't have an overbearing ego, but I know that I'm smart and I know that I can talk to people and I'm not shy, which puts me in like the 1% of humans today because everybody else is terrified.
Well, and there was I didn't come across very many men who were either not super duper shy and unsure of themselves in a way that almost made you feel like they were creepy. Mm-hmm. Or that they were so overly assured of themselves that you're like, I'm sorry, how many Tony Robbins things have you watched today? Because you're a fucking dick.
When you know that shit is so fake.
Oh, it's all so fake.
That's so performative. Nobody is that way. They do it because they think they're supposed to be.
Yeah, the bravado. It was like
crazy.
Remember Johnny Bravo from?
Yeah, totally. Nickelodeon.
No, it wasn't Nickelodeon. It was Cartoon Network. And I remember seeing that at night, and I was like, God, he's such an asshole, even when I was a kid. And that's all I could see when all these men were like, yeah, look at me. I'm so cool. And, while I go do my blah, 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 and you're like, that's a very interesting job for the kind of swagger that you roll around with.
How many times did those men ask you a question about you?
Not at all.
Right?
I never got questions asked about me. I would literally sit at these things and let people word vomit. And I would watch people, I do this when I go to networking events. I've had so many grown-ass men just word vomit all of their things on top of me. And I'm like, okay, well, I didn't know that we were getting into a session. And then they'll go, oh, yeah, by the way, before we are done, what do you do? And I was like, all that we just did, that's what I do.
23 minutes for me, 1.5 minutes for you.
Yeah. And when you're speed dating, it was very much like I would ask a question and they would spend the next 5 minutes talking about themselves. It's so nice to meet you.
Yeah. Great. Good to know.
And, I think that
hope your mother's gout gets better.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
I think that's why one of the reasons that I didn't get a whole lot of numbers is because I was so good at listening and not interjecting myself because I was trying to be respectful of the other person and being from a coaching background and things like that. I wanted to hear what they had to say because I thought that out of curiosity, they'd be like, well, tell me more about you. And very few people did.
Crazy. I still can't figure it out. I would have been at your table and fought off everybody else to try to talk to you. I got tired of the bar thing. I proved I could do it. I didn't want to do it anymore.
I could never figure that one out.
I really didn't want to be in a relationship. I wasn't trying to date. I decided after vehemently swearing off online dating, had no interest in that. Don't want to do the meat market. That I was going to join a crappy third-rate sponsor us, and I'll say it's first rate dating site that offered tickets to events. For you paid for it. It was a pay site. There was no free variant. And the events were cool sounding. So I was like, all right, I'll pay for it. It's cheap tickets to cool things with other single people. I'll do that because I'm not going to do the Broadway bars anymore. And I hemmed and hawed for about 2 months, 2.5 months. Do I really want to do it? I'm not going to do it. I don't want to do it. That's a loser. I don't want to do it. And one day I said, you know what? Forget it. I'm going to do it. Screw it. And I got on and set up my account. You had to make your profile. And I grabbed a picture that was taken like 2 days before at a social event. Yeah. It was a social event with work people. And I put it up there and, submitted so I could get my tickets and looked at the front page. And this was it's actually a really interesting app. I call it Third Date. It's not, it's just one of the smaller ones. But the gimmick is that you can't see people's faces until you ask questions.
And they have to respond back and forth.
You have to have a back and forth in order to see someone's face. So you see a little bit of a body, a little bit of hair, and everything's blocked. And I scrolled down the front page, and I'll be damned, you were like somewhere in the middle. And I swear to you, the only profile I clicked on was yours. I don't know why. I didn't even look at anybody else. I was like, ooh, she's interesting. And you had a little bio question. You had a little thing about you in a bio question. And I answered your question.
And the question was, I'll pick the conversation, but you have to start the conversation with a Taylor Swift song, with your favorite Taylor Swift song.
Yep. And I like Taylor Swift. I have daughters. I know Taylor Swift. I was not a Swiftie at that point. I'm definitely Swiftie adjacent, growing into full blown. I don't know why, but there was something about you. And all I saw was a little blue eye and a little wisp of blonde hair. That was it. Why I was drawn to you, I never went back on the site, never chatted with anybody else, never clicked anything. You, for some reason, you caught my eye, and I responded with shake it off, because life's too short to stress and be miserable.
Mm-hmm. I'm surprised you remember it so well.
Something like that.
Yeah, well, it was really close. Well, and that same day, I was at a friend's house, and some other friends were in town for some other event that was happening. And I was like, I'm going to go on here. I'm going to get my tickets for December, and then I'm going to spend the next 6 months just working on me. I'm going to delete all the hullabaloo. This was the only app that I had downloaded because I did not want to be part of the meat market either. Because having been in the algorithm game, having run social media for people, like I knew how all this stuff worked. And if you paid, you got pushed farther. And I was like, I don't want to play this game with the rest of my life. Because this is a really big decision for some random tech company to be deciding for me. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, okay, this one is in person. And that's why I chose it. Because the mutual friend that we talk about sometimes, he was like, oh, have you heard about this one? Sent me an ad for it. And I was like, yeah, I've seen it everywhere. So went in and did all of the speed dating through that. And I opened the app that day, and you had just messaged me like minutes before. And I was like, nobody's ever messaged me before.
How long have you been on it?
I was on it for 6 months at that point.
And never a message?
So I paid for a year subscription to it because it was like $75. And
you should probably just give the name.
No.
Okay.
I think it's great if we don't give it and people ask for it, and then we tell them that they should sponsor us.
I like that.
Because that's the whole point.
Right, got it.
We're not going to promote them for free.
No, of course not. But it works.
I mean, it worked in this case.
It worked for us.
But I opened it up, and you were there in my inbox, and I was like, what the fuck is this? This has got to be like just one of those messages that they're just like telling you something's happening in the app. And I clicked on it, and I was like,
what's happening in the app, baby?
I looked at it, looked up at my friend who was there. It was Asian Ian. And I was like, somebody messaged me in this. And he's like, is that weird? And I was like, yeah, this never happened to people. And I read it, and I was like, and he answered the Taylor Swift question. And so I'm like ecstatic at this point of like, oh my God, somebody answered the Taylor Swift question. Because, when you're first starting to date, everybody's like, well, if you come off too strong or if you act too much like yourself, then nobody's going to like you. And I was like, fuck that. I'm just going to do all the things that I want, because if they can't handle my Taylor Swift obsession, they cannot handle me.
Right. Good call.
And You have to admit that that is very much a true statement. There's people that are way more crazy than I am, but I'm
Have
up
I passed the test?
You have.
When I decorated the entire house for the
Oh my
album
God,
release party,
that should be a whole
including
entire
getting multiple
episode.
pastries with Taylor Swift decor.
That should be a whole entire episode of the podcast. But I was ecstatic, and so I messaged you back right away, and you had like gotten on, messaged me, and then closed it out. And I didn't hear from you for several hours, and I was like, well, that was exciting while it lasted. And we started talking back and forth after that, and I remember it so vividly because my oldest daughter had a play. So we had gone to the play that afternoon, and they were like, oh my God, Mom, we have to go to Chick-fil-A. We have to go and eat because we're so hungry and we're going to die if we don't eat. So I gave in and I took them to Chick-fil-A, and all their friends were there from the play. And I was like, of course, we should have like correlated this. So I'm sitting with this group of other parents that I barely know that are just friends with my kids. And they're, they're all paired off.
Right.
Mom, dad, mom, dad, mom,
Yeah.
dad, mom, dad. And
Bland, bland, boring, bland.
and they're like, so, how are you? And I'm like, I'm good. And all their husbands act all weird because, oh my God, it's a single mom. So she must be trying to hit on me because for some reason, all the men think that because you're single, that all of a sudden you're interested in them. And I was like, not my type, not my type, not my type, not my type, because you're all fucking married.
Oh, hell no.
And for many other reasons. And so it was always just like hysterical to me to be in those situations because I always felt like a fish out of water. And you started texting me on the app and going back and forth. And I'm sitting there like all excited, texting you because I'm totally not paying attention to anything that they're saying because they're talking about shit that I have like no idea. Like grass feed and
we're going to Home Depot. They have a sale on.
Which I'm
fertilizer.
I'm fine with, but when you start to like interject and you don't have a husband, but you're interjecting like you are the husband, it makes people very uncomfortable. We learned that. So I'm texting with you back and forth, and all of a sudden we get to the point where it was like 8 or 10.
10, and it took a little teeny piece off of your face. A little tiny square of your face was exposed, and you had to go back and forth 10 times to see the other.
Well, and I wasn't paying attention to the little how many pieces were coming off.
I was intently staring at the little pieces coming off.
As we were going back and forth because, I've got my kids over here in the play area in Chick-fil-A trying to make sure that they don't run around with their shoes and socks off going, can I refill? Can I have my
ice cream cone?
Yes. Can I trade my toy in for an ice cream cone now? And so I'm like dealing with all this on the back end. And all of a sudden I get this message that goes, oh my God, you're so gorgeous. And I'm like, what? And I was like, oh, you can see me now. Thanks. And then I was like, oh, this is weird. Like somebody's actually taking interest in me.
Oh my God.
For the first time. And then we had to wrap it up because you were like, I need to go put my kids to bed, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, I need to do the same thing. I need to get my kids back to the house and bathed and all that stuff. And it was really one of those moments where I was like, oh, this is actually really cool.
Yeah.
Like, is this how this all is supposed to feel and like exciting and, all Twitter pated and like, ooh, is he going to message me back? And it was a very interesting dynamic. And it wasn't long. It wasn't very many days before we finally got each other's phone number.
Real phone number or fake phone number, Kabrina?
I did my due diligence.
Her picture was revealed. And I was like, oh my God, she's beautiful. She's so pretty. And I was so excited. And the thing is, like, so there's pretty, and then there's like your person pretty, right? Like I had been doing the bar thing. I'd been hanging out with pretty girls. I couldn't have cared less. They just weren't right. And after 10 back and forths, I was like, oh my God, there's something here. This person talks like me, understands what I'm saying. Like we have similar cadences, we have similar likes and dislikes. When we're not the same person, we're not identical. But man, do we have a groove with each other? There's just a vibration where everything sort of works. And when I saw your picture, I was like, yes. I was like, oh fuck yes. She's so hot. She's so hot.
You're so nice.
And I don't remember what I had to do that night, but I had to do something. I'm sure I was also trying to play cool, right? Because you can't be all like, but oh my God, you're so pretty, get all freaky and stuff. But man, I remember that night being just like floating on top of the universe.
And I couldn't wait for you. You were like, "Oh, I'll text you tomorrow." And
I waited.
I opened it up as soon as I woke up, and I was like, nothing. And then all day there was nothing. And then it was finally at like 6 or 7 o'clock at night. You said something, and I was like, "Oh my God, he didn't forget about me."
And then I think on that second day we didn't stop texting
Till late.
until like 2 or 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
And got deep. By the second day, we were talking about the origin of the universe, and
So that wasn't necessarily over text, that piece, because then we started talking on the phone like the next day or so.
couple days. But I mean, even texting, we texted for hours.
Well, yeah, we talked about all kinds of things. And I remember that it was the third day before we had talked in person, because it was a weekend. It was like a Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Right.
And my kids had gone over to their dad's house. And we're going back and forth. I'm cleaning my house because that was kind of my old habit, was the kids would come to me. It'd be a disaster. You'd be like, Mom, 100% as much as you could be. And then the minute they went to Dad's house, where are we?
We've gone way too long as usual.
Yes, for sure.
Can you tell we really love talking to each other? Like more than anything in this world? I have to go to my work, and from about 5 minutes after I leave in the morning to 30 seconds before I walk in the front door, I am dying to talk to you. It's my favorite.
We send each other stuff all day long. And there's so many things. Like I was telling him something today. I was like, oh my gosh, this was so funny, but I didn't send it to you because I knew you were driving. There's so many things that I'm like, oh my God, if you were right here next to me all the time, I would tell you all these different things that are like going through my head as they're happening, because it's just stream of consciousness, which is why I love the podcast, because there's so many moments, especially in the last 6 or 8 months of our relationship, once you're really established as a couple, that we would start talking about stuff, or we'd have these ideas about things. And I'm like, oh my God, I wish we were recording this all the time, because of the fact that there's just like all these prolific things that we say. And I'm like, no, we have to wait for that. We have to talk about that on the podcast.
That we're fucking hilarious.
Oh, we're so funny. We're so funny. And I think we're going to have to like do podcast episodes in the midst of those weird moments. Well, like when we're driving.
Yeah.
And we're talking about stuff.
I love mics. We just put them on. We drive. We cook.
Well, like remember that one time we were driving through Franklin, and we were like, there was all these open lots and houses being sold and stuff like that. And we were like, well, what if we did that? And we just had a compound, and like we went off on this whole entire rabbit trail of something we had never talked about before.
I'm driving. You're on Zillow. Like, it's only $7.5 million. We can get that.
We can figure that out.
We'll figure that out.
And that was only like 6 months into our relationship. Just, driving to go to an event somewhere.
But I mean, that's kind of a big key point here, is that I was done dating. I was going to just be myself, work on myself, go to therapy, go to the gym, get jacked, all that kind of stuff that you do after you get divorced midlife. You were like, I'm going to take a break. Dating sucks. We found each other, and within 10 chats, we already knew it was something completely different.
Well, and what we were about to go into is like the first weekend we were talking, you had mentioned that you have three girls.
Terrified.
And you said it so confidently, though.
Oh my God, I was so scared. I was so scared to tell women that I was a dad of three girls, including two very preteens and a teen. That's a hard audience, right? I mean, this is why I only wanted to be with somebody who had kids. Because could you imagine, like, if my teenager wasn't as chill as she is, how hard that would be for someone who doesn't understand
Oh my God, we have
kids
to
to
tell that story
assimilate?
next time.
Yeah, right. For real.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, I was terrified to tell you that I had three kids. I was like, well, I was like, she's gonna be like, nope.
Well, okay, so he tells me this, and I'm cleaning my kitchen, doing all these things, and I'm like, well, fuck. I can't not tell him that I don't have children now because he just asked if I have kids. And so I'm like, I have 5. Here's their ages. Turned the phone over on the end of my table as far away from the kitchen as physically possible at the edge. And I was like, well, and I verbally said, well, that was fun. Put the phone upside down, walked away. Because I was like, there's no way that this guy is going to go, well, this chick's cool, but she's got 5 children. 5. That's a handful. Oh, congratulations. You can count how many fingers you have.
I can do that.
People do
This
this all the
podcast is
time.
brought to you by Chapstick. This is actually Blistex. Call us Blistex. It's berry flavored and purple. I bought it for one of my kids.
I love you.
It now belongs to me. But boy, were you wrong.
I was
What did I say? I don't
wrong.
remember.
Oh my God, I don't remember what you said. I'm going
Oh,
to
I
have to go
remember what I
back.
said. I said, that's cool.
You
That
were
sounds
so
very-
chill, though.
I'm still chill.
And I was like, wait, what? What?
I started asking you questions about him.
You did. And so then it was like, oh, okay, maybe this could be something. And then it took the awkward out of it, which was nice.
It was never a thing.
No, it wasn't. It was never like, oh my God, I'm only going to love you if you are, it goes back to the 6'5" trust fund, blue eyes, finance. Yeah. And we have a friend who, we love you, but we're going to talk about you on the podcast all the time. Yeah. You're a great case study.
You are fodder for podcast material.
Sorry, dude. But
thankfully, this friend will never watch. So
he says that he's going to, so we're apologizing ahead of time.
By a bit.
But he has this idea, and we almost dated. We had like a couple of those moments where you make out, and it's like enough to be like, oh, this could be something, and then you get farther into it, and you're like, yeah, actually, it's like at a restaurant, when the rolls are really good, but then the food sucks.
Yep.
And we knew very early on, after 2 dates and fighting with each other on both of those dates, that we were really great friends and not compatible as companions in a partnership kind of way. And he has this idea that you have to look a certain way, you have to do certain things, you have to be this certain person, and the boxes are so eerily specific to one kind of human that may not exist. And I'm all for having guidelines and things that you want to do and people that you want, and ideals that you want within your relationship. But I think if you're like, they have to weigh 125.3 pounds. They have to have blue eyes and blonde hair. They have to be in this industry when they work. They have to have come from this background. Like now we've just like statistically fucked ourselves.
But I think people do that on purpose.
Well, it's
Because I think they're afraid to get into relationships. They're afraid to take swings. They're afraid to find somebody they're compatible with on a deeper emotional level because it's vulnerable as hell. So vulnerable. I mean, by the second day of us talking on the phone, we were bearing each other's souls to each other. I mean, it was like, I'm open, like, ask me anything you want, you know? And to do that takes a lot of guts. Takes a lot of guts, and it takes a lot of self-assurance.
See guts? You want to see my guts?
Yeah, I'm here, eviscerate me, right? But I think people are really scared to do that, and that's why you get that, like, oh, I want somebody 6'5" and finance with blue eyes. That's like 0.01001% of the population.
There's somebody on TikTok who actually did
That
it.
was brilliant.
She figured out that there's only 2 people that fit that description statistically in the whole United States.
Yeah, right.
Minus the trust fund, you could find some 6'5" people in Nashville, though.
Yeah, but they're all broke.
If you come with the trust fund, you can find a 6'5" guy in finance.
If by working as a cashier, that's in finance, then yeah, you got it.
I think the lesson here, though, is that, we found each other and we started talking to each other and we got to this point of how do we go about, you had said to me, you were like, so we were like 3 or 4 days in.
But keep in mind, 4 days in was probably 52 hours of conversation at that point. We were talking. I hate talking on the phone. I remember one night looking down, feeling really depressed because we were ending a call because we could barely stay awake. And we had been on for 7 hours and 25 minutes. And I was like, that is definitely a personal record.
And it
Probably
was,
for a week.
yeah, well, it was so bonkers because I would like do laundry and clean my house with my headphones in and just talk to you the whole entire time. And it was the best thing ever because it was somebody that I could relate to while I was stuck doing all these things while my kids were gone. And what we learned really quickly was that we liked each other and we had to figure out what the next step was. So like it was the first step was like, okay, talk to each other on the app. Then it was, well, how do I get your phone number? And of course, I did my due diligence and I gave him a Google number because you can track people's numbers, which is exactly what I did as soon as he gave me his number.
I gave you my real number.
You did. I reverse searched that thing. I found out how much your house was when you bought it, all the things. I knew everything. And then my other friend went and stalked your LinkedIn so that you wouldn't see that I popped up on it so that I could know all of your background.
I would have been so excited if you had stalked my LinkedIn. I'd have been like, fuck yeah.
Well, and it was one of those things of like, I wanted to do my due diligence because I knew that I wanted to meet you. So before we got there, I knew all of those things and they were like, okay.
Did my LinkedIn pass the smell test?
Well, I told you this early on. I was like, by his LinkedIn, he's either going to be the coolest person that I've ever met or he's going to be a total asshole. Luckily, you erred on the side of coolest person I've ever met. Because you're just close enough to like things that I've done that it like it made me slightly insecure. Like, oh my God, this person's going to like push back at me on everything that I say. And I'm never going to feel like I can talk about the things that I do. Because I've been in relationships like that where I feel like I'm the one who has to kind of hide some of my things.
You have to suppress your brilliance.
Because of the fact that the other person is trying so hard to like elevate theirs, that everything you do is bothersome in some way or not appropriate.
Instead, we're like badass partners.
We're so fun.
So good.
And we bounce so well. We volley very well. And it was one of those things of like, now we have to figure out how do we meet in person, which is what we're going to talk about on the next episode of like, what does it look like?
That was so cute.
I know, it's so cute, but that's why it has to be its own episode.
Because it's going to take us an hour and 20 minutes to talk about that too.
Exactly. And so when we finally decided to meet, it was one of these things of, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to meet in person. It's going to be this cool, exciting thing. And then you're like, oh my God, I really like this person and we're going to meet in person, and this could totally break the image of this person that I have in my head. Because it's like you have a picture. That's basically what we had of each other. You had nothing on the fucking internet. I scoured it.
Lots on the internet. It's all business stuff. But it would be like my Facebook was stuffed.
Gen X forgets that when they post things on Facebook that is called friends only, if you're not friends with them on Facebook, which we were not at the time, you can't see any of that.
Guilty as charged. I forgot that, yes.
So there was only so many things that I could see. I stalked his. I stalked some other people in his life. I stalked every place that I could because, doing speaker coaching and getting people on stages, I'm really fucking good at stalking people, and could not find much. It was all very like run-of-the-mill stuff you would expect to
Very
see.
run-of-the-mill.
Hardly. But I'm trying to like prepare myself to meet you.
Yeah.
And like, okay. Because as a woman especially, I always felt like I'm going to this thing, and mixers and speed dating was fine because there was enough people there. But you're always kind of like, is it going to be okay? Is it going to be fine? So it's like when I let you pick the coffee shop, I was like, it has to be in Franklin.
Like, it's the coffee shop on the end of the long dirt road where there are no other people.
Yeah. So I was like, it has to be in Franklin because it was like a central area between the two places that we were. And I knew the area really well because I did a lot of business things there anyway. So a lot of the coffee shops knew who I was or was at least familiar with me. So any one of the ones that you picked was good. And you ended up picking one of my favorites. And I was like, this is great. I know the area. Like, you have your escape routes if you need them.
Did you go the day before and like plant mace and knives by the trees?
No,
It's a good idea though, right?
Good idea. No, I did not
have
do
little
that.
like survival hatchets.
I would have just forgotten. I would have been like, oh my God, some poor child will find this. So, I was prepared for what I was going to do. I parked my car farther away so that, if there was any kind of situation, it wasn't a big deal. And it ended up being one of the best days of our lives that we'll tell you all the details about on the next episode.
You were late.
I was late.
It's all right. I was sitting there looking all cool, waiting for
you were. I was only like 5-ish minutes late.
God, when you turned that corner and I saw you. It's like today. When I walk in the house and I turn the corner and I see you, my heart just, goes nuts. Beats so fast. Something that keeps getting stronger. But that first day when you walked down the street and I saw you, God, gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited to tell that story. It's going to be a good one.
It's fun.
It's going to be a good one.
Started something, man.
Mm-hmm. And that's how you got to this podcast.
Brought to you by Coffee and Sleepless Nights and Bliss Sticks.
Why were they sleepless?
Because I was talking to you all night.
Mm.
I'd walk in the work the next morning and be like, dude, you okay?
Want to come talk to me all night
I'm
tonight?
so good. Yeah, let's go have a sleepless night.
Mm.
We got work to do.
We do. You're right. Well, with that, thanks for coming to this episode.
Send us questions. Mm-hmm. Engage with us. We're really cool.
Go to Spotify. You can put all your questions in there, and we will be answering some of those on future episodes.
Yay. We're very opinionated.
Very opinionated.
So opinionated.
We'll bring some facts and some research and
opinions.
And our opinions. But thank you for joining us on this episode of Brave Enough for Love.
God, you're pretty.
I love you.
We got work to do. I love you. I love you. Love you. Let's talk soon.
That's a wrap on this episode of Brave Enough for Love. Follow the show wherever you listen so you don't miss what's coming next. If this episode made you laugh, think, or text your best friend immediately, go ahead and share it. Send it to someone who needs it. Drop your questions in the Spotify Q&A or find us on TikTok and Instagram. We're there and we're talking back. We'll be back soon with more love, more laughs, and probably more tea. Stay brave.